Most discussions about OBS, streaming, game recording, and so on tend to focus on a specific use case. One monitor, one screen of computer, desktop, or gameplay, one console input, one 16:9 image. But what if you use multiple monitors for the work you wish to stream or record? What if you display your game across 2 monitors at once and want to stream that? What about switching between monitors? Let's discuss this in today's course video. Monitor streaming. Just streaming with multiple monitors and sometimes needing to show what's on your side monitors like I do. Running games through surround gaming across multiple monitors at once, or wanting to automatically switch between different monitors as you record or stream a multi-monitor workflow. Let's tackle these. Time codes will be in the description below for the 3 main topics here. Multi-monitor gaming. First, let's start with multi-monitor gaming. This will depend a little depending on how you have this set up. Right-click your desktop and go to Display Settings or Screen Resolution. Or open up your NVIDIA or AMD control panel if you have surround set up that way. You're looking here to find out whether your system is treating your multiple monitors as one big monitor for gaming, or just multiple monitors with the game stretched across them. Take note of this. You either have one panel with just a weird wide resolution, or multiple panels listed side by side. If your monitors are treated as one big monitor, then you also need to take note of the resolution that it reads. For example, 3 1080p monitors combined into one horizontal monitor would be 5760 by 1080 resolution. If you just have multiple monitors side by side, then do the math for how they're set up. If they're 3 wide, just add up the horizontal resolutions, i.e. 1920 times 3, and then take note of the vertical resolution, 1080. You'll need this for OBS. In OBS Studio, you need to set your resolution to this weird resolution. For example here, 5760 by 1080. Leave the base and scaled resolution the same size in the Video Settings tab. For your streaming settings, you'll want to scale it down a bit. For example, for our current test resolution, I'd recommend streaming at half the resolution of 2880 by 540. Now you'll need to set up the rest of your scenes to properly utilize this wider canvas that's wider than the traditional 16:9 format. You can probably have fun with the placement of your overlay elements, face cam, and so on. Here's the kicker though. Your stream will have what's often referred to as black bars on the top and bottom because of this. This kind of setup, obviously, produces a much wider image than the normal 16:9 or even a 21:9 ultra-wide can fully display. So this is unavoidable. While you can technically stretch your image to fill a 16:9 box, it will completely trash your video and no one will want to watch it. So don't do that. If you're going to commit to streaming this kind of super wide format, you need to fully commit and just deal with the issues. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't like streaming with oddball resolutions, so it won't take advantage of the new player's capabilities. But if you're just recording and uploading this way, the new YouTube player will actually adapt to your video's aspect ratio and display it nicely on your viewers' screens. Just make sure if you're editing the video before uploading, you edit and render in the specific resolution of your recording, or you will ruin the video experience for everyone. I have a dedicated, admittedly ranty video about this subject linked in the video description. We'll also touch on this a bit more in the next video talking about ultra-wide recording and streaming using oddball resolutions. MultiMonitor Workflow. If you just happen to utilize multiple monitors and just want to be able to switch between them sometimes depending on what you're doing, things are much easier. Simply make new scenes for each of your monitors and add them via display capture. Add your face cam if needed and any overlays. If you don't want to have to reposition and configure your overlays again and again for this, you have 2 primary options. Either you can start duplicating your main display capture scene and then replacing the actual display capture source with the respective monitors, keeping all other sources in the scene intact. Or, my preferred option is to actually create a dedicated scene specifically for your overlays and to nest that scene as a source in your other scenes. I have talked about this in another video. Now you have all of your overlays in one source that you can add to any scene without having to mess around with repositioning or anything like that. Super handy. If your monitors are different resolutions, simply use the transform tool to scale them all to match your canvas resolution and whammo. Then you can set up hotkeys or use something like the Elgato Stream Deck to switch between your different display scenes as desired when recording or streaming. Automatic multi-monitor switching. There's another neat trick for multi-monitor streaming and recording that I like to use from time to time: automatic scene switching. This will let you automatically switch between your different display capture based scenes depending on where your cursor goes on your computer. This is super handy for when I do editing streams and need to quickly switch between my multi-monitor workflow. Unfortunately, the built-in automatic scene switcher tool in OBS Studio kinda sucks. Or rather, it doesn't work in the way that I see most optimal. So instead I use an advanced scene switcher plugin, which I will have linked in the video description. Download it, open the zip file, open up to the Windows folder, and then the OBS Studio folder, then copy the data and plugins folders to your OBS install directory. In Windows, the default is C, Program Files, x86, OBS Studio. Approve any prompts asking if you're sure you want to copy a program or to a program or data folder, and relaunch OBS Studio. Now the advanced scene switcher should be available under the Tools menu in OBS. Open it up. Now for setting up automatic monitor switching based on your cursor position, we will be using the Screen Region tab. Here we need to set up our different screen regions to be detected by OBS for your cursor positioning. To get this to work properly, the numbers are going to be a little complicated. This is only made worse if your monitors are different resolutions like mine are. Firstly, right-click your desktop and open up Display Settings or Screen Resolution. You need to know which monitor is number 1 for you, as this affects cursor positioning and the numbers that we're going to use. You'll want to have your scenes set up again for your multiple displays. See the earlier part of the tutorial for this. Take a look at your Scene Switcher dialog box again. You can see for each scene switching command, you need 2 sets of X and Y coordinates. We will use the cursor is currently at feature to get these numbers. Just keep in mind it's a little delayed in showing your cursor location. Now this can be finicky. Before, you would often need to get the min coordinates from the bottom left corner of your screen and the max coordinates from the top right. But now I need the top left for the min and the bottom right for the max. So if it doesn't work, consider redoing it with the opposite coordinates that you're using. The numbers you want to pay attention to first come from the top left corner of your screen and the bottom right. Write these down from the display on the scene switcher dialog, where it says cursor is currently at. Move it to the top left, write it down, move it to the top right, write it down. So for my main monitor, we want to say if cursor is in, min X 0, min Y 0 for my display. Then max X 3839 and max Y 2159. Your numbers may be different. Then select the scene you wish to assign to this screen. For me, that's the desktop facecam overlays or screen 1. Then you can choose the transition. For this kind of switching, cut works best. Once that's set, hit the plus sign at the bottom and it will add that command. Now you want to do the same thing for the next monitor. Find the coordinates for the top left and input them into the dialog, and then the top right. For me here, the min is 3840 and 0, and the max is 6399 and 1439. Choose the scene to assign this region. Don't skip this step, as I do this sometimes and it screws everything up. Make sure you assign the right scene, and then hit the plus sign at the bottom to add it. Repeat this for however many scenes or screens you're switching between. When you're done, click back to the General tab. Towards the bottom, it says Scene Switcher is, and should say inactive if it's turned off. If so, click Start to turn it on, and then close the plugin dialog. Once it's running, your scenes should automatically switch between your display capture scenes. If this doesn't work the first time, do not panic. Be patient. Double check that you have the right coordinates and that you chose the correct scenes for it to switch to, and that you hit Start on the General tab, of course. And again, if this set of coordinates isn't working, try inverting to using the bottom left as min and top right as max instead. Something will work, you just have to be patient with it. Now, this isn't going to work out well if you want to keep using other scenes. Switching to a webcam scene will put you right back at the scene where your cursor is. there's some minor tweaks you can do for this. In the Pause Scenes tab in the plugin menu, you can pause the scene switcher if you manually switch to a specific scene. You can also go to your hotkey settings and set up dedicated hotkeys for starting and stopping the scene switcher as well. You have some flexibility here. The plugin also gives you lots of options for switching based on windows, switching back after a certain amount of time, customizing transitions, and so on. But this is the basic main functionality here. So you actually have quite a few solid options available to you when it comes to recording and streaming multiple monitors with OBS Studio. Pick what works best for you. I hope this episode of my OBS Studio course has been helpful for you. If it was, smash the like button, get subscribed for more awesome tech videos, come follow me on Twitch if you like game streaming, and until next time, I'm MapleSvox, happy streaming.
Thanks for watching this episode of my OBS Studio tutorial course. More videos like this and a full master class are linked in the playlist in the video description. Click to learn more.